Well, we continue with our broadcast this morning in Cape Town, the beautiful mother city. Really, we are at the UCT School of Business looking at these 20th celebrations, obviously, which will be continuing throughout the week. We're speaking to the South African Qualifications Authority. We'll be hosting a series of events regarding, how is it that we can authenticate qualifications, but most importantly, align them to the Sustainable Development Goals, which are obviously part of the Universal Agenda of 2030. So joining me this morning to speak about a very significant aspect of it, we're looking at the Groningen Declaration Network. Do not fret, we'll break it down to you. I've got the president of the Groningen Declaration Network, who is a Victoriano Giralt. I'm hoping that I pronounced it right, Victoriano. He is all the way from Spain, and of course we're also joined by Herman Leeuw. He's Executive Secretary of the Groningen Declaration Network. Gentlemen, thank you so much to the both of you for joining us this morning. Herman, let's start off with you. Regarding the GDN, I'm going to call it GDN for the purpose of saving us on time, but really, what is it all about? What is the Groningen?
It's the idea that students or citizens worldwide should be able to bring their data on education or work experience in a digital way. You may think of it like a Bitcoin, but we call it an educoin. We want people to be able to upload their educational data in an authorized form so that they can download and share with whomever, wherever. And this will really bring lifelong learning to life. This will foster mobility.
And of course, we're talking about being able to foster mobility, etc. But regarding where we are in terms of infrastructural development, and obviously you speak about databases and a lot of practices that are done online, how are we faring, especially as the continent now of Africa, with regards to be able to match up with some of those propositions that have been suggested by the Groningen Declaration Network for you, Victoria?
The thing is that we noticed that infrastructure is in many parts of the world, infrastructure is already there or is being developed by very good people like here, SAQA. They already have the database and we already have the internet. So what we're trying to do is putting all this infrastructure that is being developed at the moment into a good use for transporting your academic credentials. So it can come from a valid source that can be easily verified if we build a trust network between all those databases that are flourishing around the world. Yeah. In some parts of the world, those databases are more developed, and in some other parts are less developed, but are being developed. So if we create a network, those that are more advanced can come and easily help those that are not yet so advanced and connect everyone easily.
Okay, we're speaking about connecting those who are not so advanced with those that are advanced, etc. So which countries have you identified that are actually currently signatories to this, and those that still need to come on board in terms of some of the developments that have come from the GDN?
I'd say that Holland is a very advanced position, that the States are also quite advanced, and then China is also in a very advanced status. But for example, Spain is not so much advanced. I'm trying to connect to our ministry, and they are building the database, and then they will connect. And well, SAQA, South Africa, I would say, is in the middle of coming fast. It's one of the first of the class, I would say. And there are other countries. I don't want to name any that are not yet so advanced. So, well, the world is leveling, I would say, and nowadays it goes so fast that it levels fast.
Let's speak about the sustainability of such a network, because many would say, okay, shucks, a whole lot of people's names, a whole lot of qualifications, all in a network. If someone should pull the plug, I need to make sure that there's a whole lot of backup systems, etc. What are those measures, or what kind of measures have been put in place that we actually do have the necessary backup and the sustainable sort of framework to be able to feed some of those declaration networks?
Well, speaking for the Netherlands, this is not a compulsory model, but actually we are the funding agency for the Netherlands. We fund education from the age of 4 till the age of 25, 30, and we back up our systems each night. 11 billion data each night will be uploaded, backed up. But more importantly, we have put these data at the disposal of the students themselves starting November 2011. and we have a triple secure login for the system. So students may access their own data that they cannot alter, but as soon as the data change, they have a master, a PhD or whatever, it will simply upload. So it's always accurate. It will give the latest idea of what a person is entitled to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, looking at being able to sort of grow from that and other countries learning from that, I mean, the example that you use there is absolutely phenomenal. But the significance of countries even having such a network and available systems to them, do we fully comprehend just how important it is to have this?
Well, I think we are starting to comprehend that.
Yeah.
It's like the rest of the things that are happening at the moment in many areas. You know, we knew about the banks having our money and putting it in secure electronic vaults. But now the Bitcoin is coming up, and the maths underneath Bitcoin are quite useful to do many things in a secure way, because you create a chain of information that cannot be broken. If the chain is somehow fiddled with, changed, then the chain gets broken. And you notice that the chain has been broken and someone has altered the data. So the data, so to say, lives in the network and moves around the network in a secure way that you cannot break. So if we apply Bitcoin technology to the student data,
it's so interesting how you guys continuously referring to Bitcoin, because really Bitcoin offers, and is being said it's going to compete in terms of offering complete alternative mechanisms of even thinking about currency in its way. So you really are doing something that is world changing.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because apart from currency, you can use it for many things. There are people doing research for using it for automatic contracts, machine to machine. The machines will establish the contracts, but there will be people these days here in our meeting talking about how we can apply that to academic information. So your credentials will not be able to be changed, because the whole system will know that anyone is fiddling with a given academic record.
Herman, I want us to focus a little bit very quickly before we wrap up on the issue around sustainability economically now. We look at where Africa is right now, where access to the internet is quite expensive for many individuals. So how do we ensure that the continent is able to match up to some of those levels and being able to incubate the innovation that comes out?
Well, actually yesterday we had two public addresses coming from UNESCO and other organizations. There will be the International Organization for Migration attending our meeting tomorrow. These are the bodies that may or may not fund these things, because it actually fills in on what they try to achieve worldwide. Not having the money from UNESCO in itself is not a problem, because the least thing they do, they say we endorse this concept. We think this is the way the world should go. And we are confident that we will have the funds to make this happen. Besides, you shouldn't forget, once we start to process the student mobility no longer by paper, but we do that digitally, where the student himself is in control, this in itself will lead to massive reduction in cost. I mean, there's a win-win.
Well, you speak about that cost. That cost is going to require private-public sector partnerships, if I'm not incorrect with regards to that. So at this moment in time, who pays for this, and how do you start ensuring that those people actually bring the money to the table?
Well, at the moment, our network is a voluntary basis, and for bigger things, at the moment, governments are supporting these, depending on the place. If we talk the States, the National Student Clearinghouse, they are getting money from verifications from those outside their data providers and data owners. That's a good model. So if you are a student, your verifications are free. If you are a university, your verifications are free, because you are a provider of the data and the students are the owners of the data. If you are an enterprise and you want to verify someone that is coming to you, they get charged a small amount of money, but they get charged. If you do millions of verifications a year, you get a lot of money. So the balance would be finding a way that it's cheap, free, or just operational cost for students and universities.
Well, you guys are saying something very significant in terms of the fact that it is innovative. It will really change the way in which we look at data, and as well as the verifications that allow for students to actually get access to the information. So thank you to the both of you really for joining us this morning, talking about the Groningen Declaration Network. It is a mouthful, but really getting a better understanding of really the significance of it. Gentlemen, thank you. And I know you've got a busy day ahead of you as well, as you get to participate in some of the events that have been set out by the South African Qualifications Authority. Well, that is what brings our broadcast to an end this morning. Thank you so much for joining us for our live broadcast out in Cape Town, as we really look at that 20th birthday celebration of the South African Qualifications Authority, hosting several events and also coming out with deliverables at the end of the day. But of course, as we take a break now, you get to see some wonderful visual imageries coming in from the Mother City. Thank you for joining us this morning. It is goodbye and God bless.